What's up, you guys? I'm here with a new video today, and I'm here to do the top 10 best side deck cards for the format. This is my opinion, so Slim Edition, whatever you want to call it. These are just 10 cards that I feel are just very influential right now in this current format. And as we have seen from the past couple regionals, nationals in the UK, and other parts of the world, we see a lot of these cards popping up mostly in the side deck. Some do end up making the main deck cut. It just depends on what deck you're playing. So I have them all here. I'm not going to do a top 10 countdown from what's the worst to the best, because it really differs which deck you're playing. And being a Monarch player, I'm going to favor some cards over others, whereas a Cosmo player, a BA player would value other cards differently. So as you guys can see, I have them all here. I know they're in random sleeves. I'm actually just going to shuffle them up for real. I'm actually going to shuffle them up, and I'm just going to randomly throw them out here, and we're just going to start talking about them. I think that it's a lot better like that. So let's get into it. So shuffle, 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 and I'm just going to throw the first one out there. Boom. It figures. So Mask of Restrict. One of the best cards against Monarch. It really is. Being able to pretty much be a floodgate that really locks them out of their main engine, which is tributing. Now, the card has gone down. The card has definitely lost some of its almost auto win potential, and the reason being is because XYZ Monarchs can play around it. They can make rank 5s like Adrius. They can make cards like Zenmaio. Rank 5s and other stuff with the Prime Monarch that lets them basically just, ignore Mask of Restrict. I had Mask of Restrict flipped against me, and I was still able to play around it playing XYZ Monarchs. But for Domain Monarchs, it's very, very solid. Just a really good card in general. And you actually use it in the mirror match. You cut your opponent off from being able to tribute, and that gives you an advantage in that match. So I think this card will always be a staple for decks that aren't Monarch, and even XYZ Monarch is citing it, so that should tell you right there it's definitely an influential card in the format. Alright, next card. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And we've got, boom. Oh, God, I keep getting all these Monarch-related stuff. So Fog King. Fog King was the last one I put in here. Reason being is because I've seen a lot of decks are citing this. Mostly Domain Monarchs, and some XYZ Monarchs are citing it. Basically for the same reason as Mask of Restrict. It is an out. It is a way to pretty much lock Domain Monarchs. It's a way to lock Monarchs in general. The ability that they're not able to tribute is really, really good. So I think it's cool. If I were to rank them, even though I said I would, I'd probably say this is the least important, just because I feel Mask of Restrict is just better overall being a floodgate. The one thing though is that Fog King cannot be twin twistered. Once it's on the board, you can't storm forth. So it's actually a really solid card. So I think it still definitely has potential in this format to be a side deck option for pretty much any deck that's trying to go against Monarch, and even Monarchs themselves will side it. So pretty good card. Next we've got, boom, we got System Down. System Down, no explanations really. Cosmo. Just, you need an out to Cosmo. You need to make their Cosmojos dead. And people forget, it's not half bad against Cleefort, because Cleefort is Bag of the Vengeance, you guys. That deck is scary as hell. That Demise Cleefort deck, I mean, a bajillion traps, and, System Down just takes care. It can get that extra push that you need. It's just like a better Raigeki, because you're able to get stuff out of the graveyard too for Cosmo. And as far as Klee goes, you're just trying to clear their board and stuff so that you can push forward through all their floodgates. So yeah, this card obviously needs no explanation. This will be a side deck staple pretty much till Cosmo die out. Alright, next we've got Majesty's Fiend. So Majesty's Fiend is interesting. Majesty's Fiend for Monarch players can either be in the main deck or in the side deck. This card overall is just very, very solid. The ability to pretty much put a hinder to Cosmo and put a hinder to Burning Abyss, PK Fire, etc. Majesty's Fiend is just really solid. It gives you that advantage when you need it. In Monarchs, obviously, you guys know it's searchable, reusable with Erebus. You only ever need one. If you side it, you can side two, depending on what deck you're playing. It's just a really solid card in general, and I feel that it's a staple in a lot of decks of this format, just because it's just a walking skill drain. That's just really cool. It knocks out all monster effects. No Maxis, no Valors, none of this stuff. So no cherries. So it's just a really solid card in general. So I think it's definitely influential in the format. Next, we've got Flying Sea. This is actually just, I guess, one of my personal favorites against BA, because I've played against BA since they came out, playing Shaddoll's, playing all the decks to fight through BA, and Flying Sea has just always been there, and just been one of those cards that has worked for me. I don't know how a lot of people feel about it. I feel the cards are very solid. You floodgate them so they can't use their extra deck, and in the meantime you can build up your field presence, and you can push through the Flying Sea to go for games. So it's good. Of course they can get rid of it with enemy controller and other stuff, but overall, like, you have to play the war against them to see if they have it or not, to see if they have the out to the Flying Sea, because you drop the Flying Sea, you hinder them, and then you're able to push through. You're able to then establish your board without having to worry about them for at least a turn or so being able to get past Flying Sea, and a lot of times they can't even out it, so it's just a really good card in general. Next we've got Twin Twister. Twin Twister needs no explanation. This card is nuts. This card should never been printed. The fact that you can just knock out 2 cards is nuts. This card is, just really good in the format. Good against pretty much any floodgate that could beat you. It outs cards. It outs cards, and in a lot of decks you are able to discard. A lot of decks are maining it. A lot of decks are siding it. I think it's a really good side deck card and or main deck card. I've played it in both my main deck and my side deck, and I think overall it's just one of the best side deck cards right now because of the revamp of Klee, the revamp of Demise, card of Demise decks. With all that back row plus floodgates that are are going to be sided against you depending on what deck you play, I think the card is just amazing overall. So I love Twin Twister. Next we've got the Winter Cherries, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. So we already know that this card was supposed to be the overall end of BA or PK Fire or whatever, and it's interesting to see what people say, and I'd actually love to hear some BA/PK players' comments down below. How do you feel about this card? Because people say this is the card that just ends that deck, that you just don't want to play the deck because of this card, and people say it's really hit or miss. Like, a lot of times it doesn't single-handedly just outright win the game, when honestly I think it should. I feel if you Reaper him twice for Beatrice and Dante, that just seems like enough to win, even being able to hit Dante alone. Now, the one thing I'd say, the drawback to this card is that if obviously you don't draw it. It's one of those very basic Yu-Gi-Oh things. So people will argue that, oh yeah, well, I never saw it, I don't know how good it is. That's true. If you don't see it, you don't know how good it is. But overall, in theory and on paper, it should be a very, very solid card. And I think people that have them, people that can afford them, it's definitely a needed card for against BA, because being able to out them is just really, really important, and this giving you that much advantage is really awesome. So yeah, this is definitely a very important side deck card in this format. We got 3 more. Boom, Maxi, same thing as let's see, what was it? Same thing as like Majesty's Fiend and Twin Twister. It's a card that you might see in the main deck, you might see in the side deck. A lot of people are saying that the card needs to be main decked. A lot of people are saying no, you don't want a main deck because it's only good going second. The card's not horrible going first. Obviously, you'd rather have, if your deck's combo based or you have an engine to get running, obviously you'd rather not see Max C. But for the times you lose the die roll, and if you're trying to go second, some decks are trying to go second. It's still hard to say if you want to go first or second this format. I guess it really depends on how you build your deck. Maxi is just overall solid, especially if you're playing against BA. You combo it with Flying Sea, Maxi and the Flying Sea. You draw into cards. The same thing with Winter Cherries. You draw into Winter Cherries. Just stuff like that. So the card will always be solid. This card has just been a staple in so many formats that it will always be a side deck choice for those who don't main deck it. But in formats where there's heavy special summoning, Maxi is there. So just a great card overall. And we've got, boom, Royal Decree, another personal favorite. Fuck traps, like, for real, fuck traps, because you play against Klee and they got like half their deck, just like the old Gear format where there's like all traps and what is it, like Drowning Mirror Force, Rivalry of Warlords, Massacre of Strength, Imperial Iron, every freaking floodgate in the game, skill rate, vanities, everything. Flip Decree and say fuck all those traps. So yeah, I love Royal Decree. I think Royal Decree is actually going back in my side deck for real. I'm like scared shitless of playing against those super trap heavy decks, because even with Twin Twister sometimes it's just not enough. You can only hit 2 cards. If you're playing against a Cleafort deck, you're thinking, oh crap, I got to get rid of Scout. Then you're thinking, oh crap, there's a Rivalry of Warlords. Oh crap, there's a bunch of stuff that you need to get rid of. Why not knock them all out in one swift hit? So I think Royal Decree is just awesome. Definitely a personal favorite for side deck this format. And the last card is, boom, Chaos Trap Hole. So Chaos Trap Hole really needs no explanation. You guys know it's busted against Monarch. Not good against Cosmo. They just add the shit back with Cosmo Town, which I learned the hard way. I sided it in, and yeah, I did. I was like, yes, I'm ahead. Then Cosmo Town came down, and no, they added it back, and I just basically wasted 2,000 life points. So that was a hard learned lesson. But Chaos Trap Hole, very solid against Monarchs. Good against BA, good against, just a lot of decks this format. I just don't think it's good against Cosmo, but it's a just a fantastic card overall. So it's crazy how this card came out so long ago, and it just, you know, it made a huge comeback and a huge resurgence into the game. So I think it's awesome. So yeah, that's it, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. This is just my top 10 best side deck cards this format. Please let me know what your top 10 side deck cards are and why in the comments down below. This is obviously not my side deck. This is just 10 cards that I feel are influential throughout the entire format against all the decks that are being played now. And I just, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If there's any other top 10s or any kind of discussions you'd like to see here, just let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thumbs it up. Thank you for watching.